Okay, so we are going to talk about episode 2, BGC 16, social disruption. Um, on the little intro or commercial, whatever, one of the Oxygen people said social distortion. I was like, okay, which one is it? But then, of course, I looked it up on my guide, and it's disruption, not distortion. So I'm surprised whoever said that, and they let it slide. Okay, so the episode starts off with Nisha, and she's talking about if her mom doesn't care that she left her kids at home because her mom's watching them, then the other girls shouldn't, which I agree with that. Like, she has somebody watching her kids, not like she just left her kids at home and nobody's watching them. I mean, I left Kiko at home, but he had a babysitter, so I mean, how you gonna judge me when I made sure Kiko was good when I was gone, right, Kiko? Come here. Come here and say hi. Come here. Oh, he's up and he wants to play. Kiko, you just got lipstick everywhere. Thank you, baby. I love you. Okay. Oh, sorry. Excuse me. All right. Next thing you know, this is pretty cool. I feel like there's like dog hair stuck to my lip. There was a Skype call where you see. I really feel like it's on my lip. You see Nisha's two daughters, and one of them says, "Mommy, where are your friends?" And it was really interesting because she first calls Adrian and Persuasion over to say hey. And I'm like, those are your friends? Like, what? Those aren't your friends? Maybe they were just like the two closest by. I don't know. Maybe she thinks they're her friends. I mean, maybe they were her friends and we just not really seeing it at this point. But I was like, that was kind of weird that she called Adrian and Persuasion because I'm like, I don't think they like you. Then Kaylee is missing from the house, and next thing you know, she comes home, her foot's wrapped up. She said they gave her crutches, but she doesn't want to come in the house with them, and I'm like, oh my god, she's going to be like Flo, limping around the house, trying to climb up the stairs, and she says that her heel is bruised, which I've never heard of a bruised heel, but she did fall on it like really, really weird. I would think that it would be like her toe or an ankle or like some sort of sprain, but a bruised heel, unless you like stepped on a rock really hard, I've never heard of that. Okay, so Kaylee comes in, she's limping around. I feel really, really bad for her. And Z then tells Winter, Kaylee is staying until you kick her out. And I'm thinking like, what in the world? Like, Z, why are you telling Winter this as if, like, once again, you're showing that you're on Winter's side, but we've seen her kind of go back and forth. But it's kind of like she's giving her advice and almost giving her advice and basically adding fuel to the fire, like wanting Winter to basically go back after Kaylee. So I'm like, that was really, I didn't like that. And we then see her on the phone with her stepdad and Kaylee. We see Kaylee on the phone with her stepdad. She says, he tells her, like, you can't control the situation, but don't let them control you or something like that. And it's pretty good advice because it's like, okay, they're doing this stuff to you. You can't like necessarily stop them, but at the same time, you can make it to where they don't control you. Like, have your own mind, stick up for yourself and whatever. And of course, Kaylee, after talking to her stepdad, she seemed a little bit more confident, just like when Nisha stood up for her last episode. She seemed a little more confident. So I really think that Kaylee is a strong girl and she's just in need of a friend and a little bit of support because she's doing really well on her own at this point. And I believe on the first episode, she wasn't my favorite. She definitely wasn't my favorite on the casting special, but she has definitely grown on me because I like the fact that she is staying strong and defending herself, and she's like, there's a couple moments where she broke down, but for the most part, she didn't. So I feel like she's a really strong girl. She surprised me, so I'm actually really starting to like her. We then see a scene at the pool, and Z is saying to Kaylee, instead of getting people out, we should just be having fun here and not just worry about getting someone out. And I'm like, but you was just trying to get Kaylee out the last episode. Now you with Kaylee saying, why don't we all just have fun and whatever else? And I'm like, whose side are you on? Like, you just keep going back and forth. And at this point, I'm really not feeling Z whatsoever. Nisha calls Z fake, and she says she's a tag-along for throwing out Kaylee's clothes. I completely agree with that. And next thing you know, it's basically like a setup. I feel like Tabitha pulls a Mimi and she goes and tells Z, I think Dreads wants to fight you, saying she said that you're fake and I think she wants to fight you. And of course, Z takes the bait and immediately goes and confronts Nisha while she's in bed. She says, you need to brush your teeth. And this is what I said on the Casting Special. It's like, okay, she's like trying to sleep and you're talking about, okay, your breath stinks. Like, go brush your teeth. And it's like, whose breath smells good when they're sleeping? Like, you just woke her up out of bed or whatever she was doing in bed. I don't know. I guess she didn't have nothing better to say. She tells her to brush her teeth. And all the girls come in the room. They sit on the other bed. And it's like they're watching a show. Like, they're being like little evil girls. I'm just like, really? Y'all are going to come in there and like watch it and start laughing? And that kind of gives me flashbacks of season 11 because it was like Stephanie and all them like standing around Mimi and like Mimi would like laugh and instigate stuff. And then it would be like in the middle of the fight and I wouldn't see anything that was going on. So I'm like definitely getting like flashbacks of season 11 on this season. Okay, so Tabitha completely instigates the situation, and Z rips the blanket off of Nisha's bed and then goes to pour water on her, and Nisha swings. And good for her. Like, she don't even care. That girl, like, twice her size, and she swings on her, and of course they do the hashtag Shagon. Like, what? That's so funny. All right. So then, it cuts to Kaylee's interview, and she's saying that she's just glad that she's not a part of it, but you can see her kind of feeling bad for Nisha in there. And, I mean, it wasn't her battle, but I kind of wish she would have stood up for her, and that maybe, Nisha could stand up for her later. I don't really know, but it's like, okay, you're finally not getting picked on, so I don't think necessarily you should have stood in. But, all right. Nisha then takes off running. Okay, so then Nisha and Z are fighting. Z's on top of Nisha at one point, and then Nisha, like, kicks her, like, as she's standing on the bed. Security comes, and then Nisha takes off running after Z downstairs when Z's, like, putting ice on herself, and I'm like, that's what you get. Like, go and get ice. You want to sit there and pick on her. She's trying to sleep just because you feel like all these other girls have your back and they're instigating a fight. So then now, after the fight, Tabitha, Aladria, and Winter are saying, like, we gassed you up. Like, what you did was wrong. And Z's thinking, like, what is even going on here? Y'all told me that she was talking about me. And I thought, she thought she was friends with the girls and stuff like that. And, of course, the girls turned on her with a quickness. So that fight was crazy. And let's see, producer. Kaylee says that... Okay, so we see Kaylee talking to the producers, and she's saying that, in her interview that she was a mean girl, bully in high school, and now it's happening to her. She feels bad of how she did it. I wouldn't say in a way that's her karma. I don't even see Kaylee being like that in high school. Like, that's so crazy, but at least she changed, and she's the nicer girl now, but I guess she's getting a dose of her own medicine of how she acted in treating people in high school. I don't know. We're going to get to the Kaylee situation in a minute because it didn't get bad until a little bit later. Okay, so they're doing the Oxygen photo shoot, which is called Hype Fest, and Aladria is saying, we're the mean girls, and she's, like, laughing about it, and she's like, somebody's going home after the club, and then, of course, they're the four of them doing the they're four in the confessional, and on the movie Mean Girls, there were four girls. And I'm thinking, like, y'all are bragging about mean girls? Like, that is not cool. Like, so you're mean, you're owning you're mean, and you're bragging about being mean. Like, what? I'm so confused. Like, no, that's not cool. Okay, so the mean girls say that Dreads can go out with them and that they want to leave Z and Bambi at home. So they're now calling Kaylee Bambi because she's limping around the house and can barely walk, which... Kaylee, oh my god, I'm messing up the names again. I saw y'all's comments last week saying, oh, it wouldn't be a review if Sarah didn't mess up the names. I was about to call her Bambi. That is not her name. Kaylee wanted to stay home in the first place, and she already called it. She says they're going to go out, get drunk, and they're going to try to start a fight when they get home, and of course, what happens? All right, so Z gets upset, like, y'all really going to leave me? They let her get ready and everything. The girls laugh, they leave. And it's kind of weird seeing Nisha out with those four girls, but at the same time, she's like, okay, they want to be my friend, but I'm not going to be best friends with them because you could tell she's a little standoffish. She doesn't trust them for, like, the things that happen, but at the same time, she wants to go out and have fun, good experience. So I don't really necessarily think she's fake in that moment. Like, what is she supposed to do? Just sit in the house and be alone all the time, too? Like, no, she wants to go out and have fun, but... later on we see like she's not siding with the mean girls and doing mean stuff too. So she's still keeping her separate and keeping real true to herself, but still going out and having a good time. So I don't think there was anything weird about her going out. But what is weird is Z goes to Kaylee and she says, we can go do something tomorrow and hang out. And I'm like, now that they don't like you, now you want to be friends with Kaylee. Not because you felt bad or because you wanted to be friends with her, but because the other girls kind of disowned you. Now you want to be friends with Kaylee. And I just feel like that is a huge sign of weakness because it's like, here's Kaylee standing on her own. Nisha stood on her own. And then Z, she was with the group. She was being mean. And now that she's kicked out, she wants to go side with one of the girls that was getting picked on because she doesn't want to be alone. And then Kaylee, of course, being nice and by herself, she kind of like just accepts Z and decides like, okay, we can hang out. All right, so Nisha says the girls invited her out. Okay, I went over this already. So after the club, they're all turned up, of course. Nisha wants to come home and fight Z. And we see Winter jumping on Kaylee's bed. They're all yelling like, you're going to go home. All 4 girls are in there yelling. They're pulling the mattress off the bed. Later we see like the little... the bed frame, like the bed slats, like broke and stuff. Like they're completely like out of control. Like 4 girls, it was like hyenas. What was it like on the Lion King when all the hyenas were circling like the lion, Simba? And I'm like, what is it? They really, really for real mean. And then it cuts to another screen where Nisha and Z are fighting, and Nisha's saying, you don't want to fight because the other girls aren't around, you don't want to put on a show, like, let's fight. And they, of course, fight, and then Z says, this is the second time that we fight, and I'm on top of you, and I'm like, yeah, you're like twice her size, like, you better be on top of her, but Nisha is definitely this little scrappy, like, throwing punches, wanting to fight girl. We then see Kaylee covered in like baby powder or something. We didn't see what happened or really what it is. And Winter says, quit acting like a baby. You cry, baby, quit crying. And Kaylee's like, I'm not crying. Like, what are you talking about? I'm not crying. That was really funny. And then we see Kaylee walking down the hall. Winter shoves her as she's walking away, not trying to fight in the first place. And she's saying, does your foot hurt? And shoves her. Tabitha then jumps up in the air and kicks her in the damn back. And I'm like, whoa, hold up. I felt like Tabitha should have been ripped out of the house right then and there and sent home. Like, that is completely not okay. She kicked her in the back. Like, I still can't believe it. I was getting so angry watching the show. Like, my heart was beating fast. I was getting so mad. I felt so bad for Kaylee. Like, That was so wrong. I felt so bad for that girl. I just wanted to, like, go into the TV and give her a hug. Like, those girls are stupid. Okay, we then see Tabitha and Winter throwing clothes over the balcony. They then grab the bat phone out of Kaylee's hand. Clearly Kaylee's saying something like, get me the hell out of this house. And we see her banging on the door. And we see her go back there, which clearly she's talking to the producers so she can go to a hotel. And I'm glad she got to get out that damn crazy house and get some sleep on her own to, like, kind of recuperate. I remember the night that I got jumped in BGC 11. They sent me to a hotel. And I had, like, a moment of, like, I was like, thank God, I get some peace and quiet for once. I took a bath. I watched TV. Still didn't have a phone, but I was like, this is so nice. One of the producers came and spoke to me. Making me feel better about the situation. Let me know, like, I didn't do anything wrong. Basically, these girls were just bullies. And, of course, I go back into the house, and it was like war all over again. I didn't really care. It's kind of like the hotel is a time to rejuvenate and get some damn peace of mind and quiet before you go back into that house. All right, so it's the next day, and Z says she's going to go meet Kaylee for lunch. Tabitha says, I'm not a bully. I was drunk. I don't feel bad about the situation. Winter does feel bad about it. She's saying that she shouldn't have done that and it went overboard. We then see Z bonding with Kaylee, and she says, the other girls are against her for not jumping in with them. And I'm like, it's not that you didn't jump in with them because you didn't choose to, because you chose to do that on the first episode. You're doing it because they no longer like you now and they turned on you. So I don't really know how I feel about the whole situation with Z right now. They get back to the house, and Steve, the producer, and another lady has a house meeting. Tabitha is being rude. She's still saying she did nothing wrong. The producer says this is not the Mean Girls Club, and Tabitha has to go home. And this is kind of annoying because she was like my pre-season favorite. I thought she was really, really pretty. She's cute. And she turned out to be like really mean. Like, I don't know what her deal is. Like, she's too pretty to be acting like that. Like, I don't, maybe like the TV and the alcohol got to her head. I hope she's not like that in person because I feel like she's way too pretty to be acting like that. She acted extremely like mean and trashy to me, and yeah, um, she should have went home. I mean, no questions asked. As soon as she kicked Kaylee in the back, and I was like, they better send her home. Like, not even hesitating, she better go home. So, bye, Tabitha. We see Tabitha packing. She says, that's fine. I don't care. I'm going to go back to work. So, once again, she still doesn't even feel bad about the situation. Hopefully, she does now when she sees how bad it made her look on TV. Or, I'm sure fans are saying mean things, like, you know, on her social media to where maybe she feels bad because of how fans are treating her now. Like, I'm not sure, but how she acted was definitely not okay. All right, so Z then has a moment with Kaylee outside. She's saying that she shouldn't have participated in the first night, that she's sorry. And I'm wondering, is this a genuine apology because she really feels sorry for doing it and she doesn't want to be that type of person? Or is she sorry because she's no longer with the group, so she wants to make peace with Kaylee? I don't really know where it's coming from. I mean, I guess could she apologize for Kaylee to say she appreciates it, but I don't really know how sincere that apology is. Like, is it because she's going to be embarrassed and ashamed? Her parents are going to be mad at her, like she said. I don't really know. But at least she did feel bad somewhat and apologize, unlike Tabitha. Okay, so says Kaylee can't do it. We then see Z telling Kaylee, like, you can't do it alone, so she's going to be there for her. And once again, I'm thinking, like, is that because, you know, you feel alone and now you need a friend and you want a friend? You're not, I don't think she's saying it because she's looking out for Kaylee and her best interest. She's looking out for her damn self. Like, let's become friends. You can't do it alone. She's really meaning, like, I can't do it alone. Will you be my friend type thing? No. There's then a phone call by Alcatraz. No, it's a direct message in Nisha's, I guess Nisha's Instagram, and that's kind of different. They get to use their cell phones. I'm sure it's probably just for an hour or so a day, you know, check up on some stuff, post something, whatever else, not all day clearly. And they're asking her to perform in tonight's open mic, and she's crying. She's so happy. That was really, really sweet to see her all excited about that. And she says that she can write something within a minute or two, and she performs that night, does a really good job. And Z gives her props, saying that she doesn't want to hate because Nisha is talented, so that was a nice moment. This was also a weird situation I felt with Z. So we see all the girls after the performance. Aladria is giving like this little speech telling this guy rapper that's there, talking about we don't have any beef and da-da-da. And she says initially that she was friends with Z, and we see Z and Kaylee sitting at a different table. Well, when Aladria is saying, you know, I met her first and da-da-da, someone was like, yeah, y'all both got tattoos. She's like, yeah, I liked her first because we first met. What's her name? Z walks over to the table like getting happy about getting approval from Aladria, only for Aladria to kind of be like, but these three are really my homegirls and da-da-da and all this other stuff. And I felt like that was a moment of Z trying to go back to the other side. I mean, I could be wrong. Tell me what your thoughts are on the whole Z situation. Is she genuinely apologizing because she feels bad? Or is she doing it because she's ashamed of how she's going to be looked at? Or is it just strictly because the other girls dropped her, so now she wants a friend and she's only looking out for herself? Like, I want to know what you think. So comment below on that, because I'm kind of like torn between it, but I feel like she still wants to be accepted by the group of how she walked over to the table when Aladria was talking about it. All right, so the very end of the episode, I'm surprised they showed like this little preview for a split second of the new girl, and she has like this little high-pitched laugh, this curly, thick hair, and it looks like she's going to be having issues with Winter, because then we then see Winter saying like, oh, you're not going to get me out of this house. But we saw like a moment of her face, and I was like, wow, that's crazy. I can't believe they showed us her face about her being into the house. All right, so I'm going to get to your questions because you guys wrote really, really good questions. I only wrote a few down. I don't know why I keep touching this mouse because, like, right at 20 minutes, it likes to time out, but I already did it more than once. Okay, so a few things is, for one, Natalie says, can you address the girl who says she was the queen of LA? Well, at least she didn't say, I run LA. I can't hear that again. But apparently that was Winter. I do remember a girl saying it last episode, and I was like, oh, okay, like, that's kind of Natalie's name, but whatever. So that's kind of funny. Natalie said that on Twitter. Please address the queen of LA. All right, so Rain Jerry, REIGN, Jerry underscore, no underscore, I think I just put a dash, said, does Tabitha remind you of Mimi? And oh my God, I'm so glad that you asked that question because I had already wrote that down in my notes. I thought that when the little, like, trouble was being started, that's exactly what I was thinking. And also asked, do I have a sibling on BGC 17 because someone looks like me? No, I don't. Kelsey is in school still. She's 22. My youngest, Day Day, who's crazy as hell, she's only 18, so she can't go on the show yet anyways. Next question is ni.vek__. And they said, if you're on BGC 16, what would you have done when they did that to Kaylee? I don't like bullying whatsoever. I couldn't sit there and watch it. I would have had to have defended her and at least get in front of her and made sure they weren't doing stuff like that because I can't watch a bunch of people pick on one person. Like, if it's 1 against 1, 2 against 2, then, like, that's fine. But 4 people aren't going to pick on one girl, or 5 people pick on one girl. Like, I'm not okay with that. And I definitely would have had to step in, even if it was none of my business. There's no way I'm going to let that happen. Okay, so then Brittany__ Michelle says, address the difference between a bad girl and a bully. Yeah, I don't know why these girls think, like, fighting and picking on girls makes them a bad girl. My whole definition of a bad girl is, like, always being you, standing up for yourself, saying what you believe in, basically sticking to who you are and saying who you are, and not just trying to follow the group or trying to be fake to make friends with everybody. So I don't know why people think that being a bully and picking on people is a bad girl. Like, no, you're just a bad person, not a bad girl. Next question is, on it, SUA89 says that glad the fake chick was sent home, and asked, when will those women learn that bullying and grouping doesn't make you a bad girl? LOL, they're followers. And it's funny because those group of girls always call everybody else followers, which is completely opposite. They're the ones that are the followers. They gang up in these little cliques and then call other people followers and pick on them when all of them are following each other. No. All right, so last one is, everybody's saying pretty much the same thing. XX Mela Bella OO says, can you trust the difference between a bad girl and just a plain mean girl? Same thing. I see everybody else is saying the same thing. Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. And the last question is, dang, there's a lot of questions on here. Everybody's talking about bullies. Okay, somebody said, Sarah O.S. Oliver, so very similar to my name, says, is there a dominant girl who you are intimidated by? Obviously not, LOL. And who do you think wouldn't have lasted a minute on season 11? Kaylee's holding up really well. I don't think, because we haven't seen one of the 4 mean girls by themselves, but for them to, like, gang up against the other girls, I feel like that they aren't strong. So I think if they stood by themselves, that they'd be the first one out if all the other girls were picking on them like they did with Kaylee or with Nisha. So, whatever. All right, so guys, people kept asking me this because it was on my Snapchat. So I have this, like, tattoo, which was a cover-up of a cover-up. Because, you know, I had that dragon on Bad Girls Club, and it got burned. So then I had 2 flowers. I didn't like it. And then I got this really, really big rose put on. And it was pretty much black when I first got it done. So I've been lightening it. When you get laser tattoo removal, it turns your tattoo white, which then scars, and I can't have this big white thing on my leg, like a white scar. So I've been using this. You can get it online. It's called Nuvaderm, and it's like an acid peel. So it takes between 6 to, I think it says 28 treatments. I've done 3 so far. So you can actually see color in my tattoo. It's more red and purple now than it is black. So you guys should get this. I think it's like $40 a bottle. It actually works, but it is a pain to do it. But yeah, I mean, it is a good season. It's good for TV, but I've been in that house, so I know how it feels. So I'm looking at this more of a personal experience, and I'm really upset what they've been doing to Kaylee and Nisha. And as of now, those are my two favorites of the show. But yeah, until next week. Love you guys. Mwah.